Hi guys, welcome to the Chelsea Skidmore Show. I am here today with my guest, Kevin Blatt. Kevin is a celebrity sex tape broker.
Among other things.
Among other things, what are
Yeah.
some of the other things you do?
Well, this is my business card. So nowadays they call me the celebrity fixer. I'm kind of like a Jewish Ray Donovan, except I don't do manual labor, so I don't actually kill people. But I might read your email.
Is that a self-appointed the fixer idea? Is that like off of a pop culture kind of idea of like having that fixer sort of thing? Or is that basically what you do?
For as long as Hollywood has been in existence, there's always been some studio fixers that were here to kind of clean up messes from a lot of the Hollywood actors and part of that old system. It's really never gone away. It's just become more underground. And obviously, and we'll have a good conversation about this, Me Too, the Me Too movement last year really, we all know about Harvey Weinstein, and I know your story with Harvey Weinstein. But guys like Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, they're only the tip of the iceberg. There's a ton of people in this town who are filthy.
Yeah.
There are tons of people that have things out there that they don't want out there. And a lot of it's become folklore of sorts, and then a lot of it's actually been proven. I mean, look, Charlie Sheen is one of those guys that I spent many years seeing girls that would come out of his place and come to me with these crazy stories about the cocaine or the shit that he would do, whether it was abusing girls or whatnot. But if you're here long enough, you start hearing the same names and you start seeing the same stuff coming around, the same directors, the same casting agents, the same celebrities. What goes around comes around.
Do you reach out to people ever, or did they find you?
They find me. Obviously, many years ago, I put out a sex tape called One Night in Paris. That was the Paris Hilton Sex Tape.
Okay, wait. First of all, I've been waiting. Did you know that I lost my virginity while that was on in the background?
Come on.
I swear to God, I was so excited to tell you.
You lost your virginity in 2003.
Yeah, when I was in high school when I was 16. I graduated in 2005, so yeah.
Oh my God, you're so young.
It was horrible.
Why were you watching that tape of all things?
Okay, so I was hooking up with this guy who was like my brother's best friend, and he was having a party. He had like a really big house. It was a triple keg. We went upstairs to his bedroom, and everyone used to call me Paris because my hair was light. I was very ditzy at the time. And
you didn't know how to give a good blowjob?
No. No, that was around the time of The Simple Life, and I used to be very into that show, and I think it was just like a pop culture reference.
Sure.
So he just I guess he got the tape and like wanted to impress me or something, or just wanted something that he could actually come to. And he put it on in the background and then just like started having sex with me. And it was like so crazy because it was like literally right next to us. And it just was like, one of those ideal stories you hear about losing your virginity.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
Have crazy stories about you, but that I didn't know. So no, back in 2003, we were approached by a guy named Don Thrasher, who was Rick Solomon's roommate. He's, as we call him, Rick the Dick. He's the dick in the actual film. And he said he had this tape and that Rick was behind it. And we did a deal with him for $50,000 plus a third of the back end profits. We kind of knew that we didn't have the rights to put it out there. And we had a friend that tried to put out the Pam and Tommy Lee tape many years earlier, Seth Warshawski. And we learned the lesson with him. Look, in the case of Pam and Tommy Lee, they basically said to Seth, look, we don't think this internet's going to be a big deal. We don't really care. We don't think anybody's going to see it, even though we can't stop it. Whatever.
So did they put that one out there themselves?
No.
On the boat?
There's a whole
one, right?
There's a whole story. Well, the boat is one of the scenes on there, but there's a whole story behind that that's actually chronicled by a friend of mine, Amanda Chicago Lewis, wrote a story for Rolling Stone. She's actually the same person who wrote a story about me that's coming out in the June issue of Cal Sunday. It was supposed to be in Rolling Stone, but it details the theft of the sex tape out of their safe in their home in Malibu. They were never behind that. Now, Paris, on the other hand, was not behind her tape either when I got it.
Really? Because that was like the whole thing, right?
Well, but I will say that later on, she was definitely a willing participant. What happened was, when we got it, I had the initial green tinged X-ray vision tape.
How did you get it?
Like I said, this guy, Don Thrasher, reached out through a friend of ours. Uh, they were drinking in a nightclub. They called me and said, KB, we just met this guy at a nightclub, and this is what he says he's got. I'm like, I don't know who Paris Hilton. I've never heard of this person. He said, well, she's the heir to the Hilton fortune, and she's going to be a big deal. She's got a TV show coming out called The Simple Life, and it's going to be a big deal for her, and it's got Lionel Richie's kid on it also. So
Don't you think, can I pause? Don't you
Yeah.
think that's interesting timing?
It was interesting timing, but see, just like today, I got a call about something else. We'll talk about this in a little bit. There's no such thing as accidents, right?
Yeah.
So somebody knew that she was about to blow up. It wasn't her, but somebody knew that she had this deal and knew that she was going to be a big deal. So obviously they were the opportunists. This guy, Don Thrasher, was the opportunistic person.
Okay. And what was his relation to her?
He was roommates with Rick Sullivan. He
Okay.
lived with Rick, and it's always been told to me that he kind of had a thing for Rick. I think he was bi or something. And he used to like go find the hiding spot that Rick had the sex tape in, and he'd watch it. And some people would say, well, we think he was watching it because he was trying to jerk off to Rick. While other people were like, oh, it's Paris. And everybody knew her in all the club circles. And, I did know actually people that were partying with her. She was a bad girl back in the day. When I used to hang out at the Standard Hotel, there used to be a nightclub there. And DJ Morty Coyle and all these guys would hang out. It was back in the 90s when I first moved here. And she was one of those people that was a club kid that partied. So when we put this thing out there, it was basically like a shot across the bow. We didn't think anybody was going to really think it was a big deal. But lo and behold, I remember the night before I went on the Howard Stern show to break the news about this tape, my heart started pounding because I started seeing all the news media started reporting about it. And then when I went on Stern the next day, this is a really funny story. And when we get off, you'll hear the shtick that I do. I mean, you saw my movie last night, and we'll talk about that. The shtick that I had was I actually got paid by the people that own the website to do the PR.
Which website was it?
It was called sexbrat.com.
Brat?
Yes, which is no longer around.
Okay, that's amazing.
The guys from Sex Brat said, so what do you want to publicize this thing and go, be our PR guy? Because we heard you with Houston. I represented this porn star named Houston who did the Houston 620. It was a gangbang, and she broke all the world records. We went on Howard Stern, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth and became known as a PR guy.
Okay.
So I said, I'll tell you what, every time I say sexbrat.com, I want you to pay me $1,000. Every time I get Howard to say it, I want $2,000. And they said, fine. They probably figured how many plugs could KB get off, right? Well, I got 28 sexbrat.com plugs. And if you listen to it, it's on YouTube. There's actually a recording of it. This is when Howard was on terrestrial radio, and there was like 23 million listeners, right?
What's terrestrial radio?
Standard radio that you can get without buying it. It was,
Like K-Rock.
Yeah, what goes to the airwaves, what you hear in your car, just regular radio station.
Before he got a Sirius deal when he was on K-Rock.
Yeah. He got serious because he was on terrestrial radio. He was on all these radio markets. In fact, I used to sell Howard Stern radio advertising in Cleveland and in San Diego. So I had a long history with Howard.
I'm obsessed with him.
Oh, good. Well, I love Howard. Baba Booey. Hit him with the hind. So I went on that show, and when you listen to it, Google YouTube, Kevin Blatt, Howard Stern, you guys will get a great laugh out of it like you did last night. You'll hear me say sex brat over and over and over again, but I do it in such a way that they don't even realize that they're being had. I'm on for 9 minutes. They're like, well, who are you? I'm like, well, I'm the PR rep for sexbrat.com, Howard. And sexbrat.com thinks that we're the one that got the raw deal here because sexbrat.com paid $50,000 in advance, plus sexbrat.com was going to give a third of the back end. I literally peppered it in there so much that at the end, I said, Howard, if you or anybody you know has a sex tape, because we know what to do, we'll call sexbrat.com. That was like, that was it for me. That was the pinnacle. And then I was on 2020 and 60 Minutes, and then I became like, I was a preppy kid living in La Costa at this time. I lived on a golf course. La Costa, California. I was in San Diego. So I would play golf. None of my neighbors knew I was in the adult industry until this happened. And then all of a sudden I had news trucks on my bluffs. And all of a sudden I became the porn king of La Costa.
Like the sausage king of Chicago?
Like Abe Froman, the sausage king of Chicago. I love that you know that reference. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, okay. So you get the tape from the Thrasher guy. So you have the relationship with sexbrat.com. You put that out there. Is that the timeline? It drops. What is the day like when it drops? And right before it dropped, when does the contract take place with Paris and Rick and all of that?
Well,
like, how does that get worked out? Is it like a blackmail situation? Like, is it like what is the legalities of something like that?
This is a great story. So the X-ray vision tape that I have, I send out a clip to Entertainment Tonight.
Is that the night vision?
Yes.
Okay.
And also to my friend at Us Weekly. What's that? You know, this guy's fucking driving me crazy. My business, by the way, I know this is gonna sound nuts. It's booming right now. I knew this was gonna.
Fun to watch.
Well, it's not only that, but everybody wants to sell out their brother, their sister, their aunt, their uncle, because people are hurting financially. This happened in 2008 with the stimulus for Obama. And people started coming to me with all kinds of sex tapes and all kinds of text messages and pictures. And the next thing you know, I was off to the races. So what happens is the X-ray vision tape, I send out a couple clips to Us Weekly and Entertainment Tonight. Just like with anything else, the people I sent it to their producers, their editors, their bosses, and then they sent it to their friends. And it became known in some circles as the very first viral video, 2003, the Paris Hilton Sex Tape. She was in Australia. She was filming, I think, House of Wax, the movie, and it caught her, totally blindsided her. She had no idea this was going to come out. She was devastated. I ended up getting served by the Hilton family and Paris and Rick Solomon, each suing me for $10 million. I didn't have $10 million, so I wasn't really worried, but I was like, I'd never been sued before. And I made a game of it. Like every time they would stand outside my door to try to process serve me, I'd hop out my back window, I'd run. I evaded them for 2 months.
Is this like defamation of character or what
invasion of privacy, defamation of character. There was probably about 5 or 6 different charges, which I'm happy to say I settled. And no money had to exchange hands.
So has the tape even come out yet, or is this just the underground?
This is the underground tape, right? So during this time, it became the biggest news story of 2003. And all the unscrupulous adult webmaster guys that I used to know in the industry, lots of these guys existed where they would say, come to our website. We have the full Paris Hilton Sex Tape. And sometimes you would give your credit card number and pay for a 6-month membership at $29.95 a month or whatever. And you'd go in there and there wouldn't be anything because nobody had the tape. We were the only ones that had the tape. And we had a couple clips that leaked of her giving head or her getting banged from behind. There's one clip where Fred Durst actually gives her a phone call and she takes the call in the middle of getting banged by Rick. That's interesting. But long story short, Rick and Paris started suing Rick. They were both suing each other. Paris starts dating, what's his name? Nick Carter. Was he in the Backstreet Boys? And during this time, I don't know if anybody really knows this story. I might, whatever. Paris, you can sue me if you want. You know and I know what the truth is. I'd like to see you sit for the deposition. She gets a call from Rick, and Rick's like, listen, all these people are making money off of our rights of publicity, ROP, which is basically like Chelsea Skidmore. You're the only person in entertainment. Hopefully, if you trademark and copyright your name, you're the only person that can use Chelsea Skidmore for comedy or acting, right? Just as Paris Hilton is the only person that can use Paris Hilton's name. Well, people were infringing on Rick Solomon's name and her name. And Rick's like, look, I know we hate each other right now, and I know you're with your man, whatever, but we should meet it to 4 seasons, and we should just film another tape and put it out ourselves, and we'll make all the money. Somehow he gets her over there, and they film what now becomes the full color version of One Night in Paris, which is the tape that you lost your virginity to.
That's
How's
crazy.
that?
Wait, and then what did they do with that tape?
So that tape then comes back to me.
How does it go from you being sued to let's give this guy the tape?
Well, what happened was I did such a good job of driving Paris Hilton crazy and putting this story in every single newspaper across the world, from the Bild in Germany to Australia to she became a global star. This wasn't just a national story. This was a global story. And I didn't even realize until after I got off with Howard Stern just how big this was going to become. So then my brother was dating, he then married the vice president of AVN magazine, Adult Video News, Jennifer Rosenblatt. And she worked for a guy named Paul Fishbein who owned AVN. Fishbein has a friend back east from the Jersey Shore who knows Rick Solomon and says, hey, Rick wants to put out another tape in full color. It's great. He's got Final Cut and he wants to sell it to the highest bidder. What do you want to do? And I got involved because my brother called me up and said, I want to do the internet rights. Maybe you could sell the rights for video. So I went to Red Light District Video, who bought it for millions of dollars and made millions and millions and millions of dollars. My brother, along with a company in San Francisco, got the internet rights and they started HotelHeiress.com, which was the only place to legally see it online. So that became our connection with it for many, many years. To this day, Paris isn't supposed to ever say that she was involved in it or that she ever got paid from it. She always, if you look at any of the videos, she'll say that, it's all bullshit. In fact, Too Short, who's my homie, still to this day is like, Paris says you're all bullshit and that you're a liar. And I'm like, sure, of course she's going to tell you that because she was involved with it and she played the victim. And she's made $30, $40, $50 million off of it.
Have you ever run into her?
Okay, so I have a picture on my Facebook of me with my arm around Paris. I was at a BMI after party for the Grammys at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I bumped into Big Percy, who was Snoop Dogg's bodyguard. And my brother and I are there, and we go, Big P, you here with Snoop? He's like, no, man, I'm bodyguarding Paris Hilton. I'm like, oh my God, can you bring her over here? I want to get my picture taken with her. I love her. But I don't tell Big P what it is I do. He just knows us from this pimp party that we throw for the adult industry called the Players Ball. She comes out and she comes walking in the room and makes a beeline to a mirror, this full-length mirror, and just stands there and like posing, and everybody's taking pictures of her. Like it's like the craziest scene. And I go, Percy. So Percy brings her over and I go into full gay mode and pretend like I'm gay. And I go, Paris, you look fantastic. Can I get a picture taken with you? Oh my God, you're so gorgeous. She goes, sure, honey. And I put my arm around her and I take the picture, fully knowing that the next day I'm going to send that picture out to all the newspapers and every place. And I did. And boy, was she probably sorry that she ever took that picture. She had no idea who the fuck I was. In fact, now she knows who I am because I remember bumping into Elliot Mintz, her PR guy. And I said to him one day at, where was I? I was at the Roosevelt Hotel. I'm like, Elliot, do you know who I am? He goes, of course I know who you are. You're Kevin Blatt. You gave my client fits for many years.
So, and then the lawsuit was dropped within that.
Lawsuit was dropped. I became the PR guy for Red Light District Video. I went out everywhere to sell that tape. Rick was really a bad crackhead back then. He was very messed up on drugs. In fact, a lot of people in Hollywood, probably have stories about Rick Solomon back in the day. But I am happy to say 13, 14 years later, he's the most sober person I know next to you guys. If somebody would have told me when I got him on 2020 and he was hiding from the camera crew and smoking the rest of his crack in a room upstairs, I would never have believed that he was sober. But Rick and I became really good friends as a result of all this craziness over the years. Yeah, and then it was just weird that Rick ended up marrying Pam Anderson for a short period of time.
Oh, because I saw them together maybe like 5 years ago. And I was
yeah. They got married twice. And then his kid, he's got a daughter named Hunter who's beautiful. The mom is E.G. Daly, who's the voice of Tommy Pickles on the
Rugrats.
Right, that's Rick Solomon's.
That's his mom?
That's her mom. His baby's mama is E.G. Daily.
So he fucked E.G. Daily, Rick Solomon.
Years ago, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I know that name because I grew up watching Rugrats, so I would know that name from anywhere.
That's funny. Yeah, she was Tommy Pickles. So she's the mom to Hunter, and I can't remember the other daughter's name, but Hunter goes to school with Conrad Hilton, who's Paris's little brother, and he becomes obsessed with her and starts stalking her. And they ended up getting him thrown into a mental institution. But how weird is that?
I've seen him around too, and I'll tell you where after.
Creeper, right?
He seemed cool.
Yeah, well, he's a young, crazy kid. But he ended up institutionalized for a little while.
Oh, wow. So then did you also do the Kim Kardashian sex tape?
So then about a year later, I get a phone call from my friend Farley, who works at AVN Magazine, which is my sister-in-law's company. And he says, yo, I got a lunch today at the Cheesecake Factory. You need to come meet me. It's with Ray J. I go, who the hell's Ray J? Mm-hmm. It's Brandy's brother. I go, Brandy Norwood? Yeah, he's on the show Moesha. He's Snoop Dogg's cousin. He's dating Kim Kardashian, or they were dating, and he's got a sex tape with her. And I go,
you're like, who the fuck is Kim Kardashian?
Well, we kind of knew the name because of O.J. Simpson and the trial. We knew her father.
Oh, yeah.
Lawyer. And I knew who she was because the Kardashians own a clothing store in Calabasas, and my cousin is a makeup artist in Beverly Hills and used to do their makeup in Encino. So we kind of knew she was an assistant.
I know that she was Paris's assistant, and that's like the whole story. She saw what it did for Paris.
Right.
She wanted that for herself.
So when I meet with Ray J at the Cheesecake Factory in Woodland Hills, he says to me, look, Kim wants to be famous like Paris, and she wants to leak the tape for free online. I'm like, no, not ever, never, never, never. I go, I could get you millions of dollars for this, and she could still become bigger than Paris. Let me take you over to, to see some people. I'll take you to Red Light, and I'll take you to Steven and Vivid, but I'd rather take you to Red Light first, because I knew that David would want it, the owner. We left that meeting. We all shook hands. I was like, I'm going to become, the next person for Paris Hilton, for Kim Kardashian. I'm going to make her famous. So long story short, Ray J disappears the next week. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I find out Kim is really good friends with Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah.
I knew him too. He was a scumbag.
Whatever happened to him? He
lives in Mexico now, in Punta Mita. He's got a giant home down there, but he doesn't come back here. Some people think that Steve Wynn has a hit out on him. He owed the Wynn Casino a lot of money. Took out a marker for like $4 million, never paid it back. But he also owed a lot of people a lot of money and pissed off a lot of people. So he lives down in Mexico now, and he's still friends with the Kardashians, but he brought the video over to Steven and Vivid and fucked me out of the whole deal. Mm. And all these years later, he came and met with me about a year and a half ago, and he's like, I got more footage that I never released back then, and I want you to sell it for me. And I was like, you know what, dude, whatever. And by the way, he gets pissed whenever I mention this. He threatened to kill me on my podcast when I told the real story. But the first video that I had of Kim Kardashian, she's getting peed on in a bathtub, and they're rolling on ecstasy, and she's getting peed on and loving it. Loving it?
Like, can you do an impression of what she...
just...
Loving it? Like that?
Yeah, just like a rainstorm of sweet tears.
No!
I told the story on Tom Segura's podcast, the YMH, and of course, Short rolled his eyes. He's like, yeah, Ray J said you lied about that too. And I'm like, bro, you could either believe me or you could believe all these people. But
do you still have copies of any of these, like original? No.
Not those tapes. Well, the original tape of Paris is, I'll tell you a story. My brother hates when I tell this, but my brother was one of the first people who knew how to stream video from video tape to the computer. Okay. So he captured back in the day and streamed the original Paris Hilton sex tape. And in the original Paris Hilton sex tape, I mentioned this to Harvey Levin many years ago. As part of the TMZ bus tour, they used my story about them going to the Four Seasons and what suite number they used to go and shoot the One Night in Paris tape. So why was I telling you that story? God, I just had a brain fart. Why was I telling you the story about the Four Seasons and Harvey? It'll come to me.
Oh, if you have copies of any of the tapes?
Right. Most of the deals that I do require the destruction of the tapes. Oh, I was going to tell you, my brother streamed the original tape. And in the background on the television in the room, you hear the commercial to Starsky and Hutch, the movie. And you hear Snoop Dogg as Huggy Bear, the character, saying, I knew some people who robbed some people who robbed some people. That movie commercial goes off, and then you hear this Valentine's Day, give your lover the gift of diamonds. Give your lover the gift of De Beers. And it puts it, I think they mentioned that Thursday, whatever, but you could tell when that tape was filmed. And it wasn't the same time that the green tinged X-ray vision tape was filmed. If you look, different hairstyles, what they're wearing is completely different. And by the way, in the movie that you lost your virginity to, that's what we're going to forever call it. Instead of One Night in Paris, it'll be the Chelsea Skidmore virginity lost tape. She's wearing a pair of boots that go up to her knees. And like every chick that watched that video, everybody watched that video for different reasons. Guys were watching it to see if she knew how to suck dick. Girls were watching going, hey, those boots are fire. Where do I get a pair of those boots?
I have a pair like that. That's when those boots became popular? Thank you for that tip.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So how do both you and your brother end up working in the sex world? That's an interesting incestual relationship.
Yeah. Well, we moved to San Diego from Cleveland in '96. My brother came out here to work with my cousin Jonathan selling alarm systems. That my dad's company was, he was the alarm system king of Cleveland, right? And the thing about alarm systems is, in addition to selling the actual alarm system, you have the monthly monitoring, where you pay $30 a month and you're hooked up to a monitoring station. So it's that recurring revenue that my dad loved and my cousin loved. I come out, I'm selling radio advertising for Howard Stern, and I'm a strip club DJ during the day.
Oh, of course you are.
I was the guy who's like, hey guys, next on the main stage, I'm about putting your hands together for Crash and Christie, 2 for 2. Hey guys, don't forget, tipping's not a city in China. What do you say you step up to the garter, give her a buck? So I would do that and supplement my income with cash at night. And I was selling radio. And then my brother cold called this company called Website Story in '97. And they were an adult hosting company that hosted nothing but adult websites. And my brother comes home one day and goes, man, you're not going to believe this, but this French company I sold an alarm system to, every time I go back there, there's 50 new kids working there. These employees are making tons of money, and they host porn websites. I was like, dude, how do we get into this? He goes, I don't know, but if I ever have a blow up with our cousin John, that's where I'm going to work. And sure enough, about a month later, he and my cousin got in a big fight. They hired my brother on the spot, handed him a book that said everything he ever wanted to know about HTML, this thick book. And it was like reading a different language. And my brother was like, I have no idea what the fuck these guys are selling. I just know it's the best. And they're going to pay me $100,000 to go work for them. My brother and I were like making 40 or 50 grand a year. And we thought it was so much money back then, you know? So he goes to work there, and he goes to a couple trade shows, and he comes back and he's like, dude, you remember how we used to love to jerk off the dad's fucking porn tapes in the desk drawer? And he goes, let me tell you, dude, these guys are smart. And they're all these 18-year-old kids with backward baseball hats, and they're making millions of dollars a month.
Wow.
They own blowjob.com. They own sex.com. They own this. They own that. I'm like, what? He goes, I came home from Vegas. I met every porn star in the world, dude. Every porn star that you and I know from Dad's movies, because my dad had porn at home. So next thing I know, I'm like, dude, I want to quit my job. At that point, I left radio, and I was working for AT&T. I said, look, just get me a job anywhere. And he ended up introducing me to a kid that was 17, and he was making $200 grand a month. And he owned a web hosting company. And he hired me to be his West Coast service person / salesperson for like 75 grand a year. And I didn't have to do anything. And then I learned the business, started marketing a bunch of different adult websites, from sex toys to penis enlargement pills, you name it. I sold it. And then that's kind of how we embarked on this. And then my brother and I came up with a concept for a party at these trade shows, because we would go to these square parties where they'd have like the Fabulous Thunderbirds or some really queer group or something. We're like, why don't we throw parties like we're used to from Southern California? We have all these friends from being in the music business, and we could book like Long Beach Dub All-Stars, or we could book Snoop Dogg or Cypress Hill, and we'll call it the Players Ball, and we'll rip off like Don Magic Juan, the pimp, and we'll all get suited and booted like real pimps, and we'll celebrate the industry. And my brother and I threw this party. We were friends with Matt and Trey from South Park back then. They showed up. people were like, dude, you guys have the guys from South Park hanging out. You have the band Sublime, which they were now called Long Beach Dub. And we were dressed as pimps, and everybody thought that's how D and I dressed. And they, hey, we love your suit. I'm like, my suit? We want everybody to dress like this. It became the biggest party during CES and the AVN show. And that's how we got introduced to all these rappers. And we met Too Short, and Too Short became like my best friend in New Orleans playing one of our parties. In 1999, he walked in and saw people literally fucking backstage, girls giving blowjobs in the dance floor, and every porn star he's ever jerked off to is dancing on stage next to us, and we're in pimp suits. And he goes, I don't know who you two are. I don't know how I can be down with you, but I want to be down with you.
Yeah.
I was just told I was going to work for two black brothers. I go, no, not black. Blatt brothers, B-L-A-T-T. I'm Kevin. I go by K Bizzle, and this is D Money, Darren Blatt. And we're the Blatt brothers. He goes, oh, I thought you were black because this is New Orleans, and it's the weekend of the biggest black-on-black college football game, the Hospitality Bowl. I said, we are black, bro. Assalamu alaikum. And he looked at me and just fell out laughing. That moment forward, Too Short and I were cool.
Yeah. Are you guys still doing your podcast?
Nah, we're putting
up. Just 1 second. Answer that question. I'm just going to close my balcony door while you answer that.
Yeah. So no, we're no longer doing the actual podcast every week. We were doing it live from the Dream Hotel, which was in Hollywood. It's still there. Obviously, nobody's there right now. But we were doing that every Tuesday night, and it was fun. And we had you on, obviously. You were a great guest.
Very fun.
Your husband was probably the best guest we ever had because he told us the story about your bukkake date.
Yeah.
Which to this day, I told Short last week because we're uploading all the old shows now to Spotify. So you can get it now where most shows, most podcasts are. It's called Blow the Whistle featuring Too Short and KB. So your episode will be going up shortly. Stevens is up there right now. We've got a couple other episodes that are really funny, but
yeah, it was fun.
I enjoyed doing it. It just, it's a labor of love, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And to make money doing it, it's very hard. I mean, you have to have lots of ads and sponsors. And I don't think Short was really down with putting in the work. He liked the party aspect of it.
Yeah.
And he liked going and drinking and hanging out with the naked girls that would come into our booth. But
right.
The actual promotion side of it was another side.
So I bet you probably, like around that time, late 90s, that's also when the Playboy Mansion was like popping, right?
Oh, girl, I could tell you stories about
I've never been. I mean, it's now non-existent.
That
Did someone buy it?
It makes me sad. Yeah, someone bought it. The guy who is the heir to the Twinkies fortune, the hostess fortune.
Oh, okay.
This Greek guy. So the thing about the Playboy Mansion is for some reason, we used to have lots of adult parties there.
Mm-hmm.
Women felt sexually charged up. The minute they set foot on the grounds there, it was something about that place that told girls they had to fuck somewhere on the grounds. If it wasn't a game room, it was in the grotto. If it wasn't the grotto, it was by the zoo. So every time I went there, I'd start flirting with some of the playmates or whatever. And be like, I heard it's customary that you get your dick sucked when you're at the Playboy Mansion.
Is that true?
No, that was my line. So that worked a couple times, but my favorite memory ever, it had just rained for like 3 days and Beverly Hills was sopping wet, and they roped off the whole area where the zoo is. And to get to the zoo, you have to walk the grounds, and then you go down a little hill, and then there's all these monkey cages. There's peacocks and wild birds. I have a complete bird phobia. I don't like birds at all.
I hate birds.
Oh, dude, you don't know. You don't know.
They're so gross.
They're the worst. Ever since I was a kid and the crow landed on my back and tried to fly
away.
No! Yeah, it's bad.
It's ever since I saw the movie The Birds.
I watched it the other night, by the way, and it's still scary as fuck to me. Even though the effects are horrible, it's scary.
Okay,
yeah. So I go and I take this chick, and I'm in a bathrobe. It's like a pajama party at the Playboy Mansion. I'm like, hey, do you want to go see the monkeys in the zoo? She's like, yeah. Like, we're not supposed to go down there, but let's go. So I'm in my slippers. She's in pumps. She's wearing garters. The whole sexy stocking. What was the name of that stocking place on Melrose? It was really expensive. Agent Provocateur.
Yeah, that's where all my lingerie is from.
I bought some of those in my day. So she comes down with me. She's wearing like $300 stockings. We slip and end up sliding down this muddy ass hill all the way down to the monkey cages. And I'm like, oh shit. We get up, we're standing next to the cages, and the monkeys are going crazy. And the next thing I know, I feel rocks being thrown at us by the monkeys. And I'm like, oh my God, they're throwing rocks at us. She goes, oh my God, this is crazy. And I'm like, wow, we're away from everybody. We should this is like a memory we'll never forget, right? She's like, yeah. So like I remember pulling her panties down and just like going to town right there, and we're just fucking, and rocks are hitting my head, and I'm like, this is crazy. We got to go. I don't even finish my business, right? We go back up the hill and we slide down again, and now we're covered in mud. And I get to the top of the hill. My brother's standing there with this chick, and he's like, where the hell were you? I'm like, dude. He goes, you're covered in mud. He goes, what is that shit all over your face? There are brown dots.
No!
Monkeys were throwing shit at us the entire time. We were up against the cage, and we thought
Was
they
it
were
on her too?
Yeah, she had shit all over her forehead. She had to go. We both literally had to go to the guest house and just like shower down because we were filthy with mud and shit all over.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
But every time I was there, I got laid. Every single time. I had a threesome in the game room under the pinball machine that had Hef's face on it. But you would see people there that were the most random celebrities. Spade was always there.
Yeah.
What up, David? Dave Navarro was always there. Scott Baio, Pauly Shore. It was always those people that you would hear about, and then you would laugh when you'd actually see them there because you're like, yeah, that's about right. But yeah, it was.
What was some crazy stuff that you saw that like blew your mind?
Well, all of Hef's buddies were all in their 70s, and they were all swingers. And literally, like one night we walked in there, and there was a bunch of his old buddies naked, like hanging out with a bunch of these playmates, and we were like, "What the fuck?"
Wait, all the old guys were naked?
Yeah,
you walked in the room and saw them all naked together?
They were in the grotto in the pool late night.
No.
Short used to go there more than me. Short was always at the Playboy Mansion because he was friends with Kendra Wilkinson, and when they were doing The Girls Next Door, and she had a show that branched off. He did the theme song to it. He was really friends. He would see shit there too. The thing that we loved, the catering there was fantastic.
Really?
They had, it was funny because when people say, oh, you go to the Playboy Mansion, did you have the lamb chops? The lamb chops were like out of this world. Like they were the Moroccan spice lamb chops. But their food was great. They would set up a dance floor outside under a tent. Best DJs, best bands. I got too short to play there for one of our parties. It was a magical place. Magical.
And is it true that the girls were required to have sex with Hef? Like one after another in a room kind of thing? Like you hear those stories.
I wouldn't say it was required. It was encouraged. And, they'd have movie night, and I would hear from various models that some of the things they would watch would be very questionable.
Like what?
Like gay porn.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were watching like classic films.
They watched classic films and black and white movies and, Gone with the Wind and the Casablancas and all that stuff. He loved that stuff. But they would also watch porn in bed with him. And, he loved Viagra. That was his one thing that,
Yeah.
And I'm not talking ill of the man. The man is an idol to me and many people of my generation growing up. I mean, I lived my life. I always looked up to the Playboys. I always looked up to George Clooney and Hugh Hefner and the guys that stayed single most of their lives. Maybe that's why I'm here quarantining solo. I didn't think this was going to be my life, but whatever. Might be a while before I get laid again, Chelsea. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like people probably are going to come out and like show their tests like they're at a porn shoot, just ready to like hang out without masks on.
Well, you want to know what I did? During this downtime, my partner Trent and I came up with a concept. I'm a germaphobe to begin with. I always was, and Steven knows this about me as well.
I am too.
I kind of prepared all my life for this moment. Like, Vegas is one of the worst places for me because the casino chips, the escalator rails, the buttons, and the elevator, everything to me was bacteria crawling on it, right? Salt and pepper shakers, menus, everything where you have to touch what other people touch always drove me crazy. So I'm thinking to myself, in this new era, right? It takes 28 days to break a habit or make a habit. So what are we doing now? Filthy people who I used to see leave the John and not wash their hands are now probably washing their hands 40 times a day, right? Which is a good thing, right? But there's also going to be people that are going to go, look, I'm not going to be with you unless you had COVID and I had COVID, or I never had COVID. So I'm not, just like chicken pox. I never had chicken pox.
I've never had chicken pox.
Come on. Did you get the shot?
We're finding so many similarities. I've never had it. I had the vaccine when I was younger, when I lived in Japan, and my brother, when I was like 4, and my brother got the vaccine too, and he still got it.
Oh my God.
So I'm worried that, I don't know.
Well, what's really crazy is I lived with my brother many years ago in Cleveland. And the morning we went off to work, he was selling home improvement and I was doing some scrap metal job. My brother goes, will you pop this zit on my back? And I look, I go, that doesn't look like a zit. It looks like a blister. And I'm like, I'm not touching that. That's disgusting. I didn't touch it. And I leave and I come back that night. My brother's not home. My mom calls me up, says, your brother's really sick. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, he's staying with me. He's in quarantine. This is the first time I ever heard the term quarantine.
Yeah.
My brother got chicken pox at the age of 22, 23, which when you're that old and you get them, he had them everywhere. Like they're almost deadly. Like he had them on his balls. He had them in his eyelids. He had them in his throat. He had them every nook and cranny in his ass crack. Everywhere you could have chicken pox, my brother got it. I never got it. Knock on wood.
Oh my God. That freaks me the fuck out.
And I just got the vaccine about 3 years ago. I had to go to an infectious disease specialist in Encino to get the series of shots. And now, because I got those, I'm supposed to get the shingles vaccine so I don't get the shingles.
Stephen's had shingles.
Has he? You know what? That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, stress related.
Yeah, it's nerves and stress related.
Yeah. So have a lot of people, knowing your history, who wanted to get their sex tapes out? Do you get like a lot of people contacting you about it, wanting you to do the same thing for these other celebrities?
Of course. This is kind of like how, so this was 2003, the Paris Hilton thing. And then the Cameron Diaz tape came along. Then
Cameron Diaz? Who was hers with?
Well, it was her very first photo shoot. She was 18 years old and she was topless, but she's leading a guy with a dog collar and still pictures. There's no video really. And the photographer forged her name on this and tried to put it out many years later. I ended up getting blackmailed. It was a crazy story, but a guy hires me to do PR on something, doesn't tell me what it is. And it turns out to be this Cameron Diaz sex tape. And he puts out a PR on July 4th weekend with my name and my likeness saying that I have the Cameron Diaz tape. And next thing you know, Cameron Diaz is coming after me, guns a-blazing.
Really? Was it a tape or a photo?
It was, well, it was like a 3-second clip and photos, stills from that.
Okay.
So I went and called her lawyer and I said, look, this isn't me. These guys are from Montenegro, like somewhere in Serbia or Croatia. They wired me money, but I had no idea that this is what they had. So I ended up getting sued, but then I ended up helping them and I led them to the people that put this guy in jail for forging her name. So funny enough, about 4 years later, I'm at the Mondrian having lunch and I have a real job at this point. I'm trying to get away from porn. And I look over, my friends go, hey, is that Justin Timberlake and Cameron Diaz sitting behind you? And I go, it is. Excuse me, I'll be right back. I walk over the table, and just like I know them, I go, yo, Jay, Cam, what's up? KB. They go, what? I go, Kevin Blatt, Cameron. And she goes, you're Kevin Blatt? Oh my God. Oh my God. She stands up, gives me this big hug. You're the guy that helped get John Rutter thrown in jail for me. I'm like, yeah. And then Justin Timberlake's like, yo, bro, sit down. You want to have a wine spritzer with us? And I'm like, a wine spritzer? Okay. And I look over at the table that I'm like meeting with for lunch and I'm like, and they're like, what the fuck is Kevin doing with Cameron Diaz? So I tell Justin Timberlake, yo, my friend's Dave Brown, your tour manager from NSYNC. You know Decaf Dave? Oh my God. And so next thing you know, I'm hanging out with Cameron Diaz. And she's like, thank you so much. They took advantage of me. That was the very first photo shoot I ever did. And that was before I even went in the mask with Jim Carrey. Like this was the beginning of her career. And she was really upset that somebody went that far to take advantage of her.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So that had happened. And then somebody called me up with the Colin Farrell sex tape, which got crazier. This is another.
What?
The Colin Farrell tape that I had was crazy.
Why was it crazy?
I get a phone call in the middle of the night. I'm living in San Diego, and the guy's like, yo, is this KD, Kevin Blatt, the celebrity sex tape broker? I'm like, yes, how can I help you? He says, well, I have a sex tape, and I want to sell it, but I want a lot of money for it. All right, what do you got? Well, it's an A-list actor with a B-list model. Okay, is the actor male or female? It's a male. I go, bro, male sex tapes don't really make that much money. Girls aren't whipping out credit cards and buying porn to jack off. It just doesn't work that way. Oh, no. Gay guys will like this too. All right, well, what do you got? He goes, can you meet me at Mel's Drive-In? I'm like, when? He goes, in an hour. I go, bro, I live in San Diego. It's going to be at least 3 hours on a Sunday night. He goes, all right, cool. I'll see you there at 11. Hangs up the phone. And I'm such a whore, Chelsea, that I'm like, all right. I get in my car. I drive up. The guy texts me, I'll be in an orange John Deere hat sitting by the window.
Oh, my God.
Okay. I walk in. I go straight to the window. Guy's wearing an orange trucker hat. I go, what do we got, bro? And he's like, listen, why don't you order some cheesecake or something?
This is annoying.
He goes, we have to wait for my partner to come here. I'm like, cheesecake? What the fuck? What is this? He goes, trust me, you'll be happy you can. And then this guy comes in, this big muscle guy, and he's like, I want a tray of meat. He like ordered like deli meats. And I'm like,
no!
This was keto before keto. Like this is like 2005, 2006. I'm like, guys, what the fuck am I doing here? And they're like, did he tell you what we have? What the fuck do you have? He's like, it's Colin Farrell. And it's with a black playmate named Nicole Moraine. I'm like, okay, I know who that is. I go, well, I would have to see it. And what do you want for it anyway? They said $1.2 million. I'm like, listen, I can't help you. $1.2 million is a little rich for my blood. And the guys that I'll be shopping this thing for, they're not going to come up with that kind of money, especially over the weekend. So what do you guys really want? And they're like, okay, listen. We weren't prepared to show it to you. But if you don't mind, it's only up the street, and we have a two-seater with a hatchback. If we blindfold you, you get in the back of the hatchback. We're only going 2 minutes away, and I'll show you the tape.
Blindfold you? Why are they being so secretive?
They didn't want me seeing where I was going. They were sketched out of their minds, and I think they were tweakers on top of it.
I was going to say, it sounds like they were high or something.
So they put a bandana around my head, and I get in the hatchback, and now I recognize it was Sunset Plaza because it was right next to Mel's Drive-In, and it was a windy road. I go into this study, and they pop a VHS tape in, and there's Colin Farrell, bald, from the movie, he shaved his head for Daredevil. That's what he was in town shooting at the time. Smoking a cigarette, naked with the biggest schlong. For a little guy, he's got a pretty big dick. And he's smoking a cigarette, and he's got a Guinness in his hand. He goes, girl, I could eat that kitty for breakfast, fucking lunch, and fucking dinner. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah, that's Colin Farrell being Colin Farrell. I go, what do you guys want? They go, we want $1.2 million. We got somebody right now in Phoenix who's willing to give us that money. And I'm like, bro, you're not getting that money. So if they're wiring us the money tomorrow, I go, bro, you show me a bank anywhere in the world that's going to wire you money on a Sunday, and I'll double it. I go, so don't jack me up. Long story short, about 4 days later, I get a threatening call from this guy telling me he's going to kill me. And he's a sex tape broker named David Hunt Schmidt. And step off, Jew boy, if you know what's good for you. This guy,
more of the sex tape brokers,
right? I didn't even know there was a guy that did this. I'm like, he goes, I put out all the big sex tapes. I'm like what? He's like, with Tanya Harding sex tape, and I did John Wayne Bobbitt sex tape. You probably don't even know
Tanya Harding sex tape,
right? I'm like, bro, I was involved with Cameron Diaz, and I was involved with Paris and Kim Kardashian. I don't think you're that big a deal. Get over yourself. And then it started this little war. This guy ended up dying. And people still speculate that Tom Cruise had Scientologists kill him because he had shit on Tom Cruise. But to answer your story, do people come to me? Yeah, I do a lot of press. I do a podcast like this, and you have no idea. One person watching this podcast right now might go, you know what? KB is the dude I should talk to.
Yeah.
I used to fuck this girl in high school, and now she's on this reality show, or now she's so-and-so, the singer, and she's a huge deal. This morning, I had a chick who's like every girl you know in this town, right? Instagram model / sugar baby / escort. And she's like, I have some stuff on this reggaeton singer, and this is what he's doing, and this is what he's been doing. I'm like, great. What do you have to substantiate it? Do you have text messages? Do you have pictures? Do you have video? No, I don't have any of that stuff. I just got sex toys from threesomes he had. And this, I'm like,
That's weird.
but this is what I'm trying to tell you. People are starting to get hungry right now.
Okay.
So they're scratching and they're trying to figure out. Some guy 2 days ago sends me a tape. He's been hitting me up on DMs for a year that he had a sex tape of somebody, one of the biggest rappers in the world. Right? And I'm like, okay, so who is it? Who is it? I can't tell you. He goes, but what do you think it's worth? I go, bro, how much is a coat? Is it a mink coat? Is it a Burberry jacket? Is it fleece jacket? You have to tell me what we're dealing with. It turned out to be Biggie Smalls. And meanwhile,
wow.
You're getting the world exclusive right now. There's no face in it. It's just a big black gut.
That could be anyone.
Exactly. I'm like, bro, you got nothing. This is worth nothing. I had somebody 3 months ago come to me. I ended up getting these people $50,000 to go away. But they had a video of a big daytime television host. And these people happen to be African-American. And they go, yo, so K Bizzle, what do you think this is worth? What do you think this is? How much am I going to get? How much am I going to get? I go, I don't know, 5 to 6. He goes, $1 million? I go, no, years in jail, bro. Because you put a hidden camera in a bag, in a purse, and set this motherfucker up.
Oh, wow.
Can't do that. This happens a lot in this town, by the way, where girls that go on the casting couch, and to get back to the Me Too stuff, I had a lot of those girls who would go audition for older guys who were producers in this town. Mm-hmm. And they would have their old actor friends come along for some of these auditions. And the next thing you know, they're banging some 19, 20-year-old girls. And these guys are 80, 78, and they're old producers of stuff that was very popular in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know? So this was a culture that was here forever. Mm-hmm. It just got exposed with the Me Too stuff. Mm-hmm.
So I watched American Cannibal. Thank you so much for dropping off the DVD to us. American Cannibal is a documentary that you were a part of. So why don't you just tell the listeners what it was, when it was from, and what it kind of entailed.
So because I got this notoriety off that sex tape, the Paris Hilton tape, friends of mine who lived and worked in New York in the television business, they worked for VH1, they were putting together a movie about pitching television shows and what it took to do a sitcom and blah, 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 blah. So these two writers have all these great ideas for sitcoms, and they go around and they pitch these ideas, and they keep getting the door shut in their faces because everybody at this point in 2003, they're looking to buy reality television shows. And at that point, there was Survivor, there was The Real World, there was a handful of shows. But it didn't get to where it is today until probably around 2008, 2009, it really blew up. So back then, these two guys come to me and they say, we have an idea for some reality shows. Can we pitch you? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm not really a TV producer, but the guys that sent them there to me, like I said, they worked in TV, and they just said, look, pretend like you're a producer and just hear them out. So they come in, and Gil and Dave are their names, and they say to me, okay, we have an idea. It's a show called Virgin Territory. This is right up your alley, KB. We're going to lock 8 medically verified male virgins in a house in the San Fernando Valley with 8 porn stars. It'll be like a Lord of the Rings type of thing, or Lord of the Flies type of thing, where the person who outlasts and endures not masturbating, not having sex, they're all virgins. Keep in mind, all the literature in the house is going to be pornography. All the TV shows are going to be pornography. Everywhere they look, they're not going to be able to escape it. We're going to have challenges like the blue ball room or the STD spelling bee. And Chelsea, I was hysterical. I'm like, this is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
And so was that really like an actual idea these people had?
It was an actual idea as a throwaway joke. See, kind of like what you do as a comic is you come up with the most absurd things and scenarios you can. With people that pitch television shows, they always have a good, better, best. You don't just go in pitching one show idea thinking that that's going to be the show idea. They know you got to have 3 or 5 because you might never have that chance to get in front of that talent buyer again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had all these pitches, and that was the first pitch that they were hoping I was going to bite on, being the porn guy who did the sex tape. The other one was Starvation Island, which was, again, putting people on a deserted island that they're told was famous for cannibalism back in the day. They might have to eat human flesh, and they'll have no food, no water, no shelter. And whoever outlasts the longest is going to win, and they might have to live with a family that's a cannibal family and eat human flesh. And so the producers back east told me, listen, they're going to come meet you. Do you have an office to meet them in? And I said, yeah, tell them to meet me here. I used my friend Dino's strip club, which they didn't know was not my strip club. They come in, they've never even been to a strip club before. Now they're getting lap dances, a la KB. And I'm chain smoking cigarettes and I'm coked out of my mind. And I'm literally like listening to these guys going, yeah, this is great. This is great. Let me call my porn people. Let's do this.
You were just following what the producers told you to do.
And I told them, I go, listen, I don't have money to produce TV shows. They go, that's fine. They're just pitching you. They're going to get their stuff down and see how this works. I go, all right, fine, but I'm not putting up any money. They go, you don't have to.
So can I interrupt? This is what I'm confused about, because last night we called you, me and Steven, after we watched it. Mm-hmm. And you told us the whole thing was like a setup. Like you got, like the producers were essentially punking these 2 guys, making them think you're going to do this whole thing. And you were trying to just bring them through a train wreck experience to get a good TV, good documentary. Is that correct?
That was part of it. That was part of it.
There's no indication, though, at the end of the whole thing being fake. So it's like kind of confusing. You know, it looks like it's like a real documentary that just...
It's an artsy commentary on what fame is, what reality show is, what reality shows are real and what isn't real, and what blurs the line. So if you really think about that movie again, it's a head scratcher because from the people that signed up and auditioned to be a part of this cannibal idea to the virgins that came out of the woodwork thinking that they were going to, be on a... We did both. And again, the virgin territory idea was a throwaway idea, but we went out looking for contestants for both show ideas. And it was shocking that people felt there was something on the other side of that camera lens that once they're famous, everything's just going to magically fall into place. They're going to become rich. Mm-hmm. They're going to get a girlfriend. They're going to have all their ideas turned into TV shows or movies that they're so interesting. And that's not what it is. These shows mint, as they say in the movie, disposable celebrities, where you're hot one minute. Like the guy says, you're like clothes from H&M. Like one day you're wearing it, the next day you throw it out.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares. So that's the commentary. So there were a lot of things about that movie that were not scripted and that just really happened the way that you see it. But everybody was under a different pretense. And I don't want to give away the movie too much because I want people to watch it. It's probably going to end up on Netflix next year because the rights are finally going to expire. It's on Tubi, Tubi. If you get the app, it's free on Tubi. Download it to your television, Roku box, whatever. American Cannibals, the name of the film. And it was Kurt Loder from MTV's favorite movie of 2006. In fact, we got more press at the Tribeca Film Festival that year than Mission Impossible 3.
Wow.
Because I literally punked Jane Rosenthal and Robert De Niro by saying I was going to sue the Tribeca if they show my film. I didn't sign off on it, and I might have violated some confidentiality clauses that I had with Paris and Cameron Diaz. Well, all of a sudden, I'm violating the rights of publicity of these people, and it became national news. I knew exactly what I was doing because after being on Stern and learning how to push buttons and provoke people, that's what I did. So that's why this article that's coming out that you'll be able to read a little bit more about what I do. You'll see there's an element of comedy and shtick. It's why I like you guys so much, comics, when I say you guys. I mean, I've always had an affinity for comedy. I've tried stand-up. Thank you to Sam. Oh yeah, Sam Tripoli. I used to help him promote the Naughty Show many years ago at the Improv, and I got him all the porn stars that would be like, his guests and the strippers and all that stuff. And it was always the dirty humor. Whitney Cummings would be like this little girl who basically had a ponytail, no makeup on, and a backpack, and she'd be writing jokes all the time. I'm like, this chick never gonna make it. Ashley Hamilton, Steve Ranazizi, Brian Callen. I'm like, these guys are okay. I wonder if they're ever gonna make it. And meanwhile, I watched every one of these people become humongous comics. But the thing about Sam, I said to Sam goes, you're really funny. You got funny stories. You should go up on stage one night and tell some jokes. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And I went and I wrote jokes about some of the shit that I saw and some of the shit I did as a celebrity sex tape broker. In fact, I had gotten the Vern Troyer sex tape. I don't know if you read about that online.
No.
Mini-Me from Austin.
Yeah.
Well, talk about a match that met at the Playboy Mansion. He meets a girl named Renee Schreider, who's about your size. He's like 3'8", right? And she meets the celebrity from Austin Powers and goes home with them. And next thing you know, they're dating. She comes to me with a sex tape.
So she made the tape a hidden sex tape.
Yes. And, he's 3'8", she's 5'6", and for the first 20 minutes he's going down on her. It looks like a baby trying to re-enter the womb.
Oh my God.
Which, by the way, I used to say fetus. And then one day I told Jeff Ross that joke, and Jeff Ross said to me, baby. And I go, what? He goes, fetus is not funny. Baby's funny.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about you guys. What's that little tweak and because I went on stage and I wrote jokes that were more like Tonight Show type of jokes. They were like set up jokes. They weren't stories because I only had 3 minutes or Sam would give me 5 minutes. And, by the time you get into a good story, it's up. So I was writing these set up jokes.
Which is good. That's what I do.
They were good. There's actually video of me on YouTube doing stand-up, and you'll see both times that there's videos. I did good. I didn't get booed. Never got booed off stage. But
I've never seen anyone get booed, I don't think.
I would like to bomb just to see what bombing is like. Like, it was I will say it's the most terrifying thing. I'm a ham. I love being in front of a camera. I love being on TV. But there was something about going on stage in front of 300 people and trying to make them laugh. That was the most nerve-wracking. It felt like jumping out of an airplane.
It's exhilarating.
Is it like that every time you go on stage for you?
No, it used to be in the beginning. I was so nervous for years every time before I went on. I used to take those On It New Mood pills.
Yeah, those work?
They worked and then they stopped working. But I literally took them every single day for like 2 years straight, and then I just didn't need them anymore one day. And it's been fine ever since. But, like certain shows I'll get nervous about for a second, but it's only the anticipation. If it's like a really big show or if I'm opening for someone that I haven't opened for before, so I want to do a good, first impression. You want to get over that first show of the weekend when you're featuring for someone.
I will say, I saw the episode with Joey Diaz and you, and Joey was so proud of you, and he really felt like you guys in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Or where were you?
Not Tampa, Tempe.
But he was really impressed with you. And you know what? Man, for Joey to give you the props he gave you means that he was not only listening, he was gauging the reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
And he could tell from the laughter that you had it.
Yeah, I do really well with his crowd. Great crowd for me and my material, and his crowd is the best and so cool. And it's great to go to a stand-up show when the audience is like really there to see the comic, as opposed to just going out for a Thursday night and seeing whoever is on the lineup.
Sure.
Like the real fans who go out to see specific people are so excited to be there. They've paid for it, and it's fun. And then if you match the person you're headlining for's, if you match the headliners like kind of vibe and material, and you fit the bill, it's even better. So
I think it's great. Look, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a fan of Steven's. I love both you guys, but I love comedy, and I'm so sad that the Comedy Store shut down right now. I know. That was like my home away from home, where even though I'm not a comic, I feel like a part of this dysfunctional family, because they were all the people that would hang out down there. You know, I mean, Tebow, I guess, is a comic, but you'd see like the Boone Chocolatas and the Tebows and the Toby the bartender and Richie the manager. And, you know, everybody was just hugs all the way around. Now, first of all, I don't know if I'm ever going to hug anybody ever again. Right? And I can't imagine that place ever being the same. I mean,
I think I think it will go back to, you know, I think it's going to take a little bit, but things will fall back into place. Life and everything will continue on. It's like,
yeah, but not for a while. And not till there's a vaccine. I mean, I can't, you guys had people on, I mean, look, to Comedy Store's, you know, benefit, they were packing people in like sardines. I mean,
yeah.
on those Comedy Chaos nights, Sam would do 2 shows back to back, and it was probably 800 to 1,000 people in there. Boom, boom, boom. Could you imagine the breath, the laughter, all the spelling of what's coming out of people's mouths? Like,
yeah, I have a feeling that when they do eventually open back up, it's going to be like very small numbers in the room, and probably like distancing. Like they'll probably take out a lot of tables and just kind of be like one table here instead of like this. So it's probably going to be more like jazz club style, I think.
I can envision that. And I can envision a place where maybe 40 comics from the store are the audience members starting it off.
No.
And maybe they stream the shows, and the laughter that you hear is going to be the comics that are going to go
That's like
up.
a bringer show.
Yeah, it's like a bringer show, but like online. I don't know. I just can't imagine.
Not a bringer show, an open mic. Anyways.
I feel bad for everybody that works at the store and everybody that's unemployed, and my heart goes out to all the regulars and everybody there.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much for coming on. Shout out your social media, and again, where we can read whatever you want us to read or watch whatever you want us to watch.
Well, you could see me in the movie Generation Wealth also, which is on Amazon. You could see me in the movie American Cannibal. You could find me at Kevin Blatt on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm a whack job on Facebook. But yeah, you can my what?
And your podcast with Too Short.
My podcast is Blow the Whistle, featuring KB and Too Short, or Too Short and KB. It's on Spotify. I highly recommend listening to Chelsea Skidmore and the Stephen Randolph one. Stephen Randolph's is up right now, and it's fucking right. I think it's episode number 2. So check that out. And listen, stay safe. I love your doggy. That dog's giving you guys lots of love.
I'm so surprised he behaved during this. He's been sleeping. It's like I lucked out. Usually he's harassing me, so.
Where's Steven?
Usually
he's harassing you too.
He went for a walk with his friend.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.
And
then a quick shout out. Thank you so much to Manuel Rivera at Emily Rivera for sponsoring this episode of my podcast. If you guys do want to sponsor a podcast, you're a fan of the show, shoot me a DM on Instagram and I will tell you more information on that. Thank you guys for listening. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.